Alright, well, I'm gonna just open with the lesson because it's a lesson that should have been like super apparent to me from the start, but like I was all parents' first child, so sheltered, such a it's like small little cute, we can't show him the world. So my lesson was never be impressed when white trash shows off. And I know you can't tell this by how unbelievably classy I am, but I'm 3/4 WASP, so like the very martinis and denial and self-loathing, but never talking about it, and 1/4 white trash. It takes very little beer for this to come out, you know, but I haven't been drinking, so it's okay. So my white trash grandfather died, and we didn't know him. My grandmother left him when she thought she was going to get gonorrhea from him in 1949. I looked back. And so I did not know this man. But Jack was dead, and you know, the relatives were telling us like how cool he was, and the ones that would talk to us, because there were people, we were shunned. We were shunned by white trash. That's me. I'm shunned by white trash. So there you go. So the relatives that would talk to us, Floyd with his mullet, and this is all true. You wouldn't want to fact check it because it's in Bumblefuck, Ohio, but it is true. So Floyd with his mullet was telling about how my grandfather like had the best stuff and cared about everybody, and like again like not believing it when white trash puts on airs like they're showing off, but he had like the best trailer. So like, but this wasn't getting through to me, and so you know like we went to the funeral, and their big like fanfare for him. Well, it wasn't a funeral; it was a memorial service. And he wasn't in an urn, he was in a UPS box. And it was on a card table, and they didn't put a tablecloth, it was just a card table in the basement of the church, with my grandfather in a box, and a glossy 8x10, and 2 Beanie Babies praying. I don't know either. I didn't know they had the Jesus Freak Beanie Babies. I thought it was just like cute lizards, but they had praying bears. I have no idea what it was about, and you know, so we like made it through the funeral, and we interrupted. We interrupted the eulogy. It was fabulous. They were going on, and they got down to his dogs, and they hadn't mentioned his kids or the grandchildren. They were talking about how he had the dogs in the urn, and my grandfather was in an urn. He was in a cardboard box, but his dogs were in an urn on the fireplace mantle, and he didn't have a fireplace because he lived in a fucking trailer. But his dogs were in an urn on the mantle in the place with no fireplace, and he's in a cardboard box, and we interrupt the eulogy. Now, to say he had more than poodles that he took to McDonald's for meals, which is why they were in the urns. I mean, he was taking his poodles to get junk food. Like, that was his big contribution to life. He never, you know, sent any paycheck to the kids, never talked to the grandkids, but the poodles got McDonald's. So, you know, this was white trash showing off. This was what he was doing. You know, and then they were like so excited, we're going to show you the big spread we're putting out for you, and I thought we were going to go to the restaurant or somebody's house, and they opened the wall behind, it was like, you know, like in a gym, or like in the basement, and when you switch from youth group to the AA meeting in your church basement, and it's like, move the wall, so they moved the wall, and they were like, oh, come on now, you know, the parish wife, you made her special ham salad, and so we finally wanted to see what they were showing off about, so, you know, we're like, we're going to go drive out and, like, see what our big inheritance might be, and, my cousin had stolen all of it. He showed up to the funeral in my grandfather's. He showed up in the dead man's polyester suit, and all of this great stuff that they've been talking about, that he bought his wife all of these fine things, and the big show off to the community, we never got to show them off because they had stolen everything from the trailer, including the car. Oh, and they stole the dogs and had them put to sleep. It was supposed to be funnier because we didn't know those dogs, but it is really sad because I love dogs. But I mean, that's messed up. Like, the eulogy wasn't even about his grandkids; it was about his dogs, and my cousin had them killed. We're not going to end on that down note, but so the last thing, you know, the final end of the day was go meet my step-grandmother, who I hadn't seen since I was 18 months old, and I was, you know, I was 17 at the time, and we went to the nursing home to visit her and pay her final respects, because she didn't make it up the funeral, and she looks me up and down after 16 years, and her only words to me were, "You sure done growed a bit." Thank you, guys.